So hey everyone, this is Nicholas again, and today's video I wanted to talk on identity and purpose and some psychological theories which I've been reading about which relate to that. So for those of you who have watched some of my other videos and read some of my other stuff, you will know that recently I've kind of struggled with figuring out my purpose and figuring out what career and study path to go through. And that's also kind of seeped into other parts of my life. I've been struggling a little bit with figuring out like who I am and what I want to do with my life, and so I just wanted to do a video where I talked about that, and I also wanted to talk about two psychological theories which I have read in this book here called How Psychology Works. It's a DK book. It's quite interesting and very well written. It's quite accessible and easy to read, so you don't need any scientific knowledge or psychological knowledge, and it just goes through a lot of basic psychological theories and psychological conditions and treatments and counselling plans for that. But anyway, so I've been reading this book, and two theories kind of stuck out which relate to this struggle for identity and purpose that I've been going through, and they are these theories called identity development and Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The first of these theories, identity development, is an idea argued by psychologist Erik Erikson, and it's basically he argues that personal identity develops in 8 distinct stages, with each stage facing a conflict which they must resolve in order for the person to feel confident in their identity. And so, essentially from when we are a baby to when we are an adult, in different stages in our lives, we face different conflicts around our identity, and how they are resolved and how effectively we deal with these conflicts, determines how confident we are in ourselves and affects our self-esteem. So reading about this theory, I kind of realized that there was 3 stages of development that I was kind of going through all at once. And I think why I was going through all of this at once is because, as many of you know, I have been sick with chronic fatigue syndrome, CFS, for about 5 years of my life. There was, from when I was about 18 to 23-ish, I was unwell with this condition called chronic fatigue syndrome, and I was basically so unwell I was just stuck in the house. So for 5 years my kind of identity development, it kind of stagnated, and so now that I am well and my health has improved, I'm kind of getting all of these development stages and their associated conflicts kind of hitting me all at once. So let's just go through those stages and their conflicts. So kind of the first one, which I think I'm dealing with, is the adolescent stage from about 12 to 18. And the conflict that this development group faces is a conflict of identity. This is when teenagers challenge their values and beliefs, and they perhaps experiment with ideas and values which are different from their parents and other influential adults in their lives. And so even though this stage happens mainly in your teenage years, I still think part of your identity is formed when you leave home and you're fending for yourself for the first time, and you are you're figuring out how to be an adult. You're figuring out how to basically function by yourself. And I think that's a very formative stage of your life where you figure out a lot of things about life and yourself, and subsequently that forms a big part of your identity. And I think that I missed that stage in my identity development because I got sick when I was 18. I left home for a couple of months, but I just got so sick pretty much straight after I finished high school that I had to go back home. So I never really got to experience that whole, living away from home, living by yourself, learning to been able until now. And I think that's why there's perhaps a bit of conflict around, you know, who I am, is that I now finally have the freedom and the power to, you know, do what I want, live the life that I want. And, you know, I haven't had that before. And I think, you know, I'm still trying to figure out, well, what life do I want to have? So that's the first stage of this identity development and, you know, the associated conflict. And I think I'm still going through that. And the next stage is from your early 20s, and that is a stage in identity development which revolves around love and relationships. That's a stage which is described as looking for intimacy. And the conflict here is intimacy versus isolation. So, you know, during this period in your early 20s, people look for, you know, romantic partners. People look for close friends, and to have those, you know, genuine, intimate relationships. And, you know, not having that in your life can cause conflict. It can cause, you know, insecurities in your identity, and, you know, lead to low self-esteem. And again, with my chronic fatigue syndrome, I was basically stuck at home. You know, there was that period in my life where I didn't have much of a social life, hardly, you know, one at all. So I was not forming these intimate relationships necessary for a strong sense of identity and self-esteem. And, you know, that caused a lot of, you know, internal angst and suffering, because I was not forming and not having close relationships with people. And the final stage of identity development and its associated conflict, which I think I'm going through, is the 26 to about 65. So like the working age kind of stage in a person's life. And that conflict around identity revolves around feeling productive versus feeling not productive. It's the stage in our development where we want to feel that we are making a difference to society. We're having a meaningful impact on society. And, you know, I think that's something which I am, you know, that's the stage of development where, like, age-wise, where I'm at. And, you know, I think that is also, that conflict is playing out within me. I, you know, have recently struggled with trying to find a career path and a study plan which, you know, I'm satisfied with and gives me meaning. And so, yeah, you know, that again is an additional conflict. And yeah, I think just because of my delayed, I guess, development, because of, you know, being so unwell for about 4 or 5 years, you know, I'm basically, I think, experiencing all of these conflicts all at once rather than, you know, one after another. So I think, you know, that's been kind of interesting to read about, and, you know, an interesting perspective to look at some of the, you know, struggles that I've gone through. But I think in good news, you know, I think I am resolving these conflicts. I feel I am getting more confident in, you know, who I am, who I want to be, what my purpose is in life. You know, I'm getting out there into the, you know, dating world, and I'm being able to have close relationships with my friends now because I'm actually able to go and do stuff with them. And, you know, and with my decision to go into, to pursue an education to pursue a career in education, I think that has helped resolve this conflict of, you know, finding something purposeful to do, you know, giving back to society. So the other psychological idea that I've been reading about that helps explain my situation and conflict with identity and purpose is Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. And now this was proposed by Abraham Maslow in 1943, and it's essentially a pyramid, or, you know, the hierarchy, and states that a person needs to have their more basic, lower order needs met before they can have their more advanced needs met, and before they can actually reach self-actualization. So the more basic needs are things such as food, shelter, financial security, healthcare, etc. And once the person has those needs met, they can work on having their psychological needs met. And their psychological needs include things such as connection with family, friends, the community, as well as things such as self-esteem and purpose. So it's really those social and relationship kind of needs that a person has. And then finally, once a person has met the psychological needs, they can work on finding their purpose and reaching their full potential, which Maslow calls self-actualization, and that is the peak of the pyramid, the top of the hierarchy. And if a person faces barriers to any of these needs, they are unable to experience personal growth and reach self-actualization until that barrier has been removed, that problem has been addressed. And I think that this explains why I haven't been able to resolve these issues around identity and purpose and, meaning in life for so long until recently, is because of my, CFS and my health problems. The CFS was preventing me from doing the personal growth work necessary to, reach self-actualization and, answer these questions. For example, I was so sick that I couldn't work, and that was leading to financial insecurity. There was a period where I was, really close to basically being, broken out of money, and, that caused a lot of stress. And, I was also too sick to have a social life and to form the relationships necessary to have my psychological needs met. And, I was too sick to achieve societal success and to have that high self-esteem. And, now that my health is improved and those barriers have been removed, I am now able to actually work on the questions of, what is my purpose, who am I, what do I want to do, and achieve that personal growth and reach that self-actualization, a bit of a mouthful. So these have been the two psychological ideas which have kind of helped me understand my struggles with identity and purpose. So if any of you are feeling lost or in a state of conflict or feeling like that you aren't living up to your full potential, perhaps you should consider these psychological theories and apply them to your life. You might be experiencing conflict, which is just a natural part of your psychological and identity development. If you are, in your mid to late 20s and you're struggling with feeling like, your life and career has a purpose, that's normal at that stage of life. Or if you're perhaps in your teenagers and you're struggling to figure out who you are and, you're having that identity conflict, that's normal. And I think if you realize that, that's normal, that's expected, that, and, like most other people go through these same conflicts, that can give you perhaps a little bit of peace of mind and, being aware of perhaps this conflict that's going on and, perhaps that the reasons why, you can develop a plan to, resolve that conflict. Or perhaps, you're feeling unfulfilled and not living up to your full potential. And that's where you would use Maslow's hierarchy of needs and see if there are any more basic needs which are not being met and so are acting as barriers to personal growth and self-actualization. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you financially secure? Do you have close, intimate relationships with your friend, family, partner? And so, once you've identified that barrier, you can then take steps to resolve it. You can work on going to bed earlier, or you can find a better job that pays more, or you can work on your relationships to have that psychological need met. And, then once that problem's resolved, you can work on, you can achieve that personal growth and reach that self-actualization and find your purpose. So yeah, I hope that you have found this interesting and helpful, and yeah, let me know what you think. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.